an intimacy disorder. And so it's really a disorder in the way that we love and the way that we understand what it means to be loved. And we learn about love in our family. So my family starts with my dad, who was born in Ireland, and he grew up in the west coast of Ireland in this little town called Enniscrone. When he was about 19 years old, he fell in love with a woman, got married, had 2 daughters and a son. My sister Donna was born in England, raised by her Italian grandmother in Ireland. Now she's married to an Italian who runs 4 Irish pubs in Rome. My sister Jacqueline was born in Ireland, and then my brother Mark was born in the United States. So Dad came to the United States when he was 22, and when Mark was quite small, my father and Mark's mother were divorced, and so Dad kind of left that family. He moved around the country, lived in different places. He was in Memphis for a while. I think he lived in New Orleans. Met some people moving to Michigan to work in the automobile factories, and he went with them. Meanwhile, my mother grew up in Michigan, and when she was in high school, she fell in love with a boy and got married, had 2 sons, my brothers James and John. And when John was quite young, they also got divorced. So Dad made it to Michigan, met my mom. Yes, I was born. And then 2 weeks short of my 2nd birthday, my mom died of cancer. So Dad married a 3rd time. My stepmom had 2 daughters and a son, my sisters Sarah, Katie, and Kevin. And then when I was a sophomore in college, they also got divorced. Right? So that's how I became the Family Life Office Director. And it is the family that our Lord called me out of, right? It's the family our Lord called me out of. And it's important for us to remember that and to realize that, because so many times when we talk about family life, we tend as a church to say, be like the Holy Family of Nazareth. And we alienate almost everybody in the pews, right? Because our families aren't the perfect family. We strive to be holy. And that holiness always begins with mercy. John Paul II says, the church proclaims conversion, which is always the fruit of an encounter with the Father who is rich in mercy. And in order to receive that mercy, we have to kind of start with, I'm a mess. And I need Jesus in my life. Right? And our Holy Father, Pope Francis, has really kind of honed in on this. Right? He's really kind of honed in on this. One of the most impactful things that he said at the beginning of his pontificate was he said that the church is called to proclaim the gospel, right, as if it is a field hospital. Right, as if it is a field hospital. I see the church as a field hospital after battle. It is useless to ask a seriously injured person about the level of his cholesterol or the level of his blood sugars. We have to heal their wounds. Heal the wounds, and you have to start from the ground up. And so working in this area of trying to preach the gospel to a pornified culture is about healing wounds and actually going to the root of those wounds, not just simply talking about the level of their blood sugars, because sometimes people will protest and they'll say things like, well, we just need to teach people what love's supposed to be, or we just need to proclaim virtue to people. But if we're not talking about the reality that the average age of exposure to pornography is 9, then people don't feel like they have anybody to talk to about the fact that they have a pornography problem. And when we're willing to talk about it, then amazing things can happen, right? Then healing starts to take place. There's a guy who came in to see me. He had some trouble at work, and he lost his job. And a friend of his said, you really should get some spiritual counsel. Go see Father Kilcully. He's a good guy. So he comes into my office expecting me to just build him up and tell him how much our Lord loves him. And I did do that. But I also started to ask him questions like, do you have addiction in your family? Alcohol, drugs, anything like that? Nope. Pornography, masturbation, no. I just have a problem with empathy. I just have a problem connecting with people. I said, well, I don't know, but I have a lot of experience working with people who have pornography addiction. And you know what? People, when they have a pornography problem, they masturbate all the time, they tend to not be able to connect with people, they don't have empathy, they're kind of emotionally unaware. Oh, really? Well, maybe I do that sometimes. Well, how often? Every day. But you don't look at pornography. Well, yeah, every time I do that. Okay, so here's a book. It's called Treating Pornography Addiction, and we're going to talk about this. So the guy leaves my office convinced, okay, I need to get this out of my life. Gets a therapist, starts meeting with his pastor, learning about prayer, starting to make space in his life for Jesus. He comes in 2 months later and he says to me, so Father, I haven't done anything since 2 months when we talked. My wife and I are in counseling right now. Things are going good. But the weirdest thing is I was out with my son who's 8, and we were in the truck, and he looks over at me and he says, I like the new dad. I like the new dad. Can you imagine being a father and your son looks at you and says, I like the new dad? And he says, I don't even know what he was talking about. I was like, what are you talking about? Well, I like the old dad, but I just really like the new dad. What happened? He became more empathetic. He became more attuned to his son's life. He wasn't caught in this world of selfishness anymore. He was spending time with him. He was attentive to his son's needs. He became a father in the midst of this healing process, and he didn't even really know he had a problem or an obstacle to that. He was converted. Right? He was converted, and his conversion started with healing the wounds. Right? Healing the wounds. Not talking about the level of blood sugars,